Beautiful leads. Beautiful leads. Oh my gosh. What in the world? They swapped a Medicham into a Cofagrigus? Yeah. They're not going to like my Bastion. What the heck? Now they're locked in. What's going on today? What is going on? Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. I've got a super bulky team for you all today, and this team helped me climb almost 400 elo in 2 days, and not only did I hit legend, but climbing the leaderboard quite a bit ever since as well. So, looking at the team, it's Cofagrigus with Shadow Lapras and Bastion in the back. I like to call this team the Triple Titans team because it's pretty much some of the bulkiest Pokemon of their typings in all of Great League. If you don't have a Shadow Lapras, you could definitely use a normal Lapras instead. It'll actually add even more bulk to your team, but it definitely takes back some of the damage it has, so I personally prefer the Shadow Lapras more. Before we get into battles, a big shout out and thank you to all my patrons who've been supporting my content creation. If you would also like to have early access to my strategies and lineups, feel free to sign up in the link down below. Alright, so starting on my first matchup here, you can see my elo was at 2844. This was one of my first battles with this team in the very first set. And so I go against the Talonflame lead. Usually I would swap out eventually here because you have some pretty solid checks for Talonflame in the back. But my opponent actually swaps out first. And so, yeah. Against the Umbreon, you pretty much just want Bastion locked in against it. It's a very clean matchup for Bastion. You don't really have to shield at all. And even though it's very strong against Talonflame, Lapras is still pretty solid. And this way you can save your Lapras because it's a little bit more of a flexible pick against a lot of the top counters for the Bastion as well. Alright, so great catch by Michael to catch a Stone Edge on the Scrafty. And now I'm going to come in with Cofagrigus. So Cofagrigus, even though you think Scrafty is going to beat it consistently because it's a dark type, a lot of them don't bait with foul play, with Power Punch. So they'll throw straight foul play. So I always shield, and then I usually go Shadow Ball right away. And a lot of the Scrafties won't shield that first Shadow Ball, right? And by the time they start realizing that, whoa, I should probably start shielding the Shadow Balls, it's a little bit too late. Okay, so another great catch by Michael here to catch my Shadow Ball on his Umbreon again. I think, is that the second Shadow Ball he caught? Possibly, yeah. But anyway, catching Stone Edge on the Scrafty too earlier. So really solid place here. Comes back in with the Talonflame, recognizing that probably needs a Scrafty more for the back line here. And then I get to the Shadow Ball before he gets to Incinerate, and then able to Shadow Claw down this Scrafty. So Scrafty in the back line, still manageable despite it looking quite dangerous for the whole line. In the lead, even better because you don't have a matchup against your Lapras and your Bastion. And so right here, I go straight Shadow Ball again. As expected, Scrafties won't bait and they won't shield, at least that first Shadow Ball, right? And this is when they start realizing they probably should start shielding the Scrafty, right? Because I just double shielded here, something is up, right? They probably need a Scrafty or something. At this point, I know that I could tank a foul play, mostly because resisting all these counters is still very solid. And then run into a little bit of lag here, but it's fine. Opponent no shields, and then they come with Nidoqueen. So when you have the shield advantage, usually the back line can handle whatever they have in the back because they just you know, help protect the Scrafty. And as expected, there's a Steel type in the back here. Luckily, it's not a G-Fisk, but G-Fisk would be quite bad too if they run into any fighting leads. So as expected, it was probably a Skarmory of all things. And then here, just farm up a bunch of energy. Really no need to throw your energy here. What I'm really trying to do is burn the switch timer because I don't want them to farm my Bastion. And so as expected, they come in with an Nidoqueen. I was anticipating it, so I come in with my Lapras, ensuring that they don't get any energy advantage over me. And then I finish off the Nidoqueen and they can see the match. Against a Sirfetch'd lead, similar situation to a Scrafty, except in this situation, definitely go Psychic, right? Because it's doing super effective damage, and it gets to the Night Slashes a little bit quicker. So yeah, not ideal, but you could tank one comfortably here. So I'm going to throw these Psychics right away. Great catch my opponent there on their Skarmory. And then so I, again, lock in the Bastion, right? Farm up all this energy so that you can throw it at the Sirfetch'd. And they're pretty much, you can't stack up 2 flamethrowers, but you can throw one and then get another Stone Edge to get the, or Smackdown to get the other. So, getting pretty much 100 energy against this Skarmory, and then they actually come in with G-Fist here. So, this definitely makes my life a little bit trickier, but I come in with Lapras. Lapras with the Surf does a ton of damage. Even the Ice Shards start adding up because it's hitting quite a bit for neutral. I know Shield because you can still tank a Rock Slide pretty comfortably. Now I decided to Shield just because I really don't want to have to deal with the G-Fist later. Scrafty is pretty low at this point, and I still have some energy on my Bastion, and my Bastion is pretty healthy still. Most did I say Scrafty? I might have said Scrafty. Most Sirfetch'ds aren't running close combat as well, because I charged the move, I knew they had to throw the move or get hit by a move, and then therefore spending all their energy, and they're going to finish off the Skarmory right here. Vigoroth in the lead. Another weird one, because it is resisting all of Cofagrigus' fast moves. Some people might be asking why not Dark Pulse over Psychic. Main reason is really because of some matchups such as Wigglytuff. You definitely want to have Psychic just in case you have to finish that off, and otherwise it walls off Dark Pulse and Shadow Ball. Again, opponents swapping to their Flyer to draw out what the Vigoroth is good against. It's a good strategy, especially if they have double Flyers in the back. But if they do, Lapras can clean up quite a bit. While we're sitting through this matchup, you might be asking about Obscune. I actually did not run into Obscune lead. Obscune lead seems absolutely brutal for this team, but I do have a clip of Obscune in the back, and how to address that. Obscune in the lead, I honestly would just swap straight to Lapras, which doesn't seem ideal, but at least you can do some type of damage with Lapras and Bastion against Obscune, and just have to hope that it works out. I have a few patrons that have been using this team, and they did say they actually beat a few Obscune leads. So it's definitely possible. I just never had the chance to fix one yet. But as expected, they have 2 Flyers here, or 2 things weak to tanks, which Vigoroth was meant to counter. And yeah. Alright, so Umbreon, absolutely brutal lead for Cofagrigus. It walls off all of its moves. It doesn't matter if you're running Dark Pulse variant or not either. That also does not help. But I swapped straight away to Lapras. I noticed that a lot of teams don't really have strong Lapras counters if they don't have a fighter in the back. And even for a lot of fighters, and you're going to see some later on, Lapras actually does quite well against them. Not enough to beat them, but quite enough to force shields. Alright, so I do bait with 1 Surf, able to grab a shield, going straight for the Skull Bash. They double shield here, so I am going to lose Switch. Yeah, this Surfer is not going to do enough damage. So, unfortunately not able to win Switch here, but the main reason why I like to grab shields down is sometimes Bastion at this point can do quite a bit of damage. Shields down, if you don't win Switch advantage, at least just take out all the shields so that you can land a big heavy hitting move from Bastion down the road. If they have a Bastion counter in the back, then so be it, right? If you don't have Switch, there's not much you can do. But it looks like my opponent here does not have a strong, reliable Bastion counter, so they're staying in. And unless they have another Dark type in the back, you know, Cofagrigus is in a good spot. So they actually come in with a Skarmory here. So, yeah, there's some play here for sure. So they come in Skarmory. Our timers are so misaligned that I was able to come back in with Cofagrigus. They actually take me out here, which is actually ideal because now the Umbreon cannot farm me. And then now I can farm some extra against the Skarmory. Now, excuse me, is this enough to take out the Umbreon? Yep, it is. Bastion very bulky. My opponent is going to concede there. Alright, so against Swampert here, very highly ranked player as well. Going against a tough lead and a tough counter swap here. So again, similarly, I kind of want to grab their shields to have some play here. In the back end, I do bait the potential Skull Bash, and able to grab a shield there. Going straight Psycho Boost here. I go for the Skull Bash again, hoping to grab both shields. But actually, unfortunately not enough to take out his Deoxys defense, 1 fast move away. So I'm down a shield and I don't have Switch advantage. And now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Had I gone 2 Surfs instead of that Skull Bash against that Deoxys defense, that might have been enough to make the difference. But then again, they might have just shielded the second Surf instead, so I wouldn't have one switch advantage. But having shields down here might have been a little bit better, because then that first flamethrower would have taken out this Venusaur, and I have a little bit more health to deal with this Umbreon. Unfortunately, at this health range, not much I could do. I'm just coming Cofagrigus here just so that they don't farm down my Bastion, but this is unfortunately over at this point. So, you know, sometimes you run into those tough counter swaps, and it is what it is. But I think in that situation, if you could grab both shields against something like a Deoxys Defense, in such a bad lead situation where you could potentially win switch or just grab all the shields, that's ideal. So that would be the play I would go for. And like I mentioned, fighter counter swaps. Lapras, very scary on the damage front here. So I no shield, expecting to farm down the Medicham, but they actually go Ice Punch here. So able to actually win switch. Now, if they actually Power Punch me or took me out with a Psychic or something like that, I just farm down with Shadow Claws and throw one on Sableye in these situations. Usually they'll shield, because Sableye still takes quite a bit of damage from a neutral Shadow Ball. But this is a pretty popular line too, so Sableye lead, Medicham in the back, Azu in the back. Now I'm in much better alignment, and again, I'm kind of thinking, why didn't they come in Azu right away? There's probably a chance that this thing isn't running Hydro Pump. So I shield this move right here, and they do throw Ice Beam. So it's an Ice Beam, play rough, Azu. Great snipe by them to take out my Cofagrigus here, but I decide to no shield it. At this point, my Bastion can handle the Azu much more cleanly than you would expect, because all of his charge moves are resisted. So I'm going to shield the Foul Play. It's going to do way more damage than Play Rough and Ice Beam here. It's still going to be quite close because the bubbles are going to add up. But if you look, Play Rough doing very little damage to Bastion for how much energy it's costing. And then need to get to the second Stone Edge. They get to another move, hoping to live this Play Rough, and I do by like 1 HP, and able to finish off an Azu with a Bastion. So I will say my Bastion is excelled. If you haven't seen any of my previous videos, I have mentioned that. So that extra bulk definitely coming in handy there. Alright, so against Golbat, usually I'd swap out eventually, but they actually swap out right away themselves. What does this mean? It means they have a better Cofagrigus counter in the back, right? As it's not their Cofagrigus counter, they have something even stronger for it in the back end. So because of that, I'm not going to swap out, right? Chances are most things that are good against Cofagrigus, my backline is strong against. So I'm going to farm up a decent amount of energy here, shield the Play Rough. They're not going to come in Golbat here, so I get to see their third Pokemon, which is huge, because at this point, both Lapras and Bastion can handle the Golbat, so it doesn't really matter what they have, how they line it up, right? And they actually come in Obscune. So this is the matchup where I was talking about, where there's Obscune in the back. You can probably figure that out from the image on the right hand side. I'm going to no shield the Cross Chop in case of a nice slash, but I know I live it, and go for a Surf, and they no shield. But even if they did shield, at that point my Bastion could probably take it down, which shields down. And I don't have to shield anything from the Golbat, right? I'm going to throw a Stone Edge right away, just so that I can smack down the Golbat, or the Obscure, a little bit faster. I'm going to no shield again, because I want to save the shield in case they get to a Cross Chop. Unlikely they do. And then Bastion again, doing that neutral damage, able to finish off the Obscune. So Obscune, even though it looks really bad for the team, you can take it out. It's actually not too bad. I will say, a team that's very tough to take out is the triple counter team that Waller created. It's usually Deoxys Defense with a Vigoroth and Obscune. The Deoxys Defense is not a huge issue, especially in the lead against Cofagrigus, but it's really the Obscune and the Vigoroth in the back. I came close to beating it on one of my patron streams, but unfortunately it's a very tough team to face. Alright, so G-Fist lead. Stay in, let it go, don't shield anything. Reason being, there's a very strong chance they're weak to Bastion on the back, and they don't swap out there. You just let it, you just let the Cofagrigus go down. Doesn't matter if they're throwing Rock Slides, Earthquakes. It usually takes them 2 charge moves to take you out, as long as they throw an Earthquake and one them. If they go straight Rock Slide, you actually finish it off before, without even needing to shield. Alright, so my opponent here comes in their Azu here, and Azu again, not the greatest against Lapras, but that makes me think they probably have a Flyer or something. Probably weak to Lapras in the back, which is usually weak to Bastion, and it is a Sableye. This is great. Shields down against a Sableye, you go straight Stone Edge, able to finish it off. G-Fist leads, really ideal for this team. There's very few times I've lost to a G-Fist lead. I don't think I've actually lost to one with this team yet, because of the alignment you have. I've lost one slight misplace, but what I realized is stay in, no shield, farm down with Lapras, and you usually be in a good spot. Alright, Jellicent. It's kind of a weird one. Most will shield, but it gets tricky if they try to bait, so I usually swap out here just to draw anything else that might be good against the Cofagrigus in the back. And they decide to go straight Shadow Balls here, which is ideal for me. I am going to shield all the Shadow Balls and try to win Switch here, because I feel like winning Switch is important. And they really want to win Switch too, so it's going to be interesting. Let's see what they have in the back. So Jellicent obviously very good against Lapras as well, but as you can see, that Lapras still puts in quite a bit of work into one of its supposed counters in some ways. Obviously the Shadow Lapras is going to do a little bit better in that respect. Alright, so they do have an Umbreon, so that makes sense. I am going to take out this Skarmory. Unfortunately not enough to finish it off actually. So they go land a Brave Bird. Doesn't do that much more damage to be honest, so it's kind of fine. Yeah, this Bastion really needs to start chipping away against this Umbreon. Cofagrigus, as we saw in the previous battle, it's not terrible. It could do some damage with the Shadow Balls, and it could still tank the foul, like one foul play because of how bulky it is. But I do need to whittle down this Umbreon as much as possible to make that matchup easier. At this point, I definitely see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. Get a Smackdown snuck through as well, and able to get to that Stone Edge and finish off this Umbreon. I didn't even need the Cofagrigus this matchup, which is kind of nice. Besides, actually, I guess the first Shadow Ball through. Alright, Swampert, again, one of those situations where you usually have a lot of play against their backline. It really just depends on their second Pokemon. Swampert leads almost always have a Fly in the back, and they're almost always Skarmory. Knowing that, you have a good matchup. Now, you need to draw out whatever they have in the back, right? Because Lapras is a core breaker for both Swampert and Skarmory. So whatever their set third Pokemon is usually what comes in to Lapras. In this case, it is Medicham, and they do go straight for a counter down. So now I have the alignment. Oh no, I don't have alignment at all. Actually, I can actually come in Bastion here. This doesn't seem like a great idea, but the thing is, Bastion can tank pretty much all the charge moves unless they're running Dynamic Punch. So my opponent here does come in with their Swampert here. They have a bunch of energy still loaded. Luckily, I still have shields. And you get the Shadow Ball off and finish off the Swampert, and I luckily do. Yeah, they're locked in because they came in. They aggressively swapped their Swampert there. And then now they have a Skarmory in the back, as predicted. And we're in a very good spot here. I believe I probably just throw the move right away here because the Medicham, again, doesn't usually run Dynamic Punch. Even Power Punch will be fine here. Maybe to finish off. Alright, Pelipper lead. I usually swap out eventually as well, but they come in G-Fisk here. Makes my life easier, because like I said, if you take out that G-Fisk early on with the Cofagrigus, usually you could win the back line. Also, Lapras is not bad at all against Pelipper, and the Bastion is very good against it, especially after the Weather Ball nerf. It's just not going to do enough damage. Alright, so my opponent actually shield there, and that's fine. Again, I no shield, because I can still just take out this G-Fisk with Surf, over farming a little bit there just to get a little bit extra energy, and they no shield as expected. Now let's see what they have in the back, and it is a Bastion. So kind of a team that's been around GBL for a while. Pelipper double steal line, a lot of double steal lines in general. Sometimes Venus on the lead, sometimes Tropius, could be a bunch of random stuff. Sometimes Medicham, but this team is usually quite good against it. And my opponent here, not shielding the Lapras, the Bastion, thinking the shields in the back for the Pelipper would be good. Yeah, unfortunately for them, I'm in a much better matchup now, and the shield is not going to do too much for them. I could just smack down all the way and throw the flamethrower at their Bastion. They can see the match there. Alright, so Cofagrigus in the mirror lead. So Bastion's pretty good against Cofagrigus in my opinion, and you never know if they have a fighter in the back, so I like to swap out and try to draw out whatever Cofagrigus might be good against. And I go to my Lapras here. That Surf will do quite a bit of damage, but they do a great catch onto their Azumarill. And then I believe I shield. Yeah, I decided to shield just because I kind of want to get some additional damage off this onto Azu, or maybe they shield. Yeah, unfortunately I don't live that Ice Beam, but they don't shield, so that's fine. I'm able to farm up quite a bit of energy here. And then they come in Mana Buzz here, so they lock in their Mana Buzz because they didn't really want that much energy and come in with a Cofagrigus, right? But yeah, so Mana Bus locked in here. Now I'm going to farm up a decent amount of energy and start throwing these stone edges. And let's see what happens here. Have another stone edge ready, pretty much. And then they actually come in Azu here, but I saw their moveset already. It was a play rough Ice Beam Azu, so I didn't really have to worry about it. And then I expected them to come in with Cofagrigus, so I'll try to snipe it down. They actually come in Mandibuzz here, which is kind of interesting, but I still have a shield, and I still have energy on my Bastion. They're going to see the match right there. So, as you can see, doing quite well with this team, going 5-0 in my last set as well in these 2 days, and climbing all the way up to 32-32. So, if you saw earlier in my matchups, I started off at 28-44, able to hit Legend, and able to climb all the way up here. So before we wrap up, I'll play my last battle to hit Legend on stream with my patrons. Yeah, this is a new line I came up with. Cofagrigus, Shadow Lapras, Bastion. I've yet to meet an Obstagoon, but watch this be the first time. Okay. This is actually pretty bad. All of these always have a fighter in the back. Charm? No, good. I played one, like literally the last battle was this lead. So I kind of know what's going on. They always shield. They throw? Okay, this one looks like... Oh, yeah, see? Medicham. The last one had Power Punch, too. Power Punch is kind of a little bit more annoying. Oh, this one does, too. Is this the same guy? Alright. So this means I only get one Surf off, but that's okay. How I won the last one is they actually came in Azu into my Cofagrigus instead of Ninetales. Why'd that change to the same exact guy I just played? Probably not likely, right? Oh, wow, what? They let me get another one off? That did not happen last time. It's not bad, though. They get some minimal farm here. Oh. Easy peasy. We shield up. We went switch. Nice. This looks good. Oh my gosh, it actually is the Azu in the back too. That's kind of funny. Is this really the same guy? No way, right? This is the same exact team though. Alright, I should be able to win this. I should be fine. But this is a little bit different than the last situation I was in. They don't go Hydro, right? I'll shield it up, but this is looking quite good. Did they try to snipe me with a Ninetales? I hope so. The question is, do I just try to take this out with a Bastion? XL Bastion's no joke, man. The shield. I'm gonna save the shield for Bastion. Oh my gosh. Oh, they are in a world of trouble. Play rough, Ice Beam Azu. What do we shield? I don't need to shield anything. It doesn't matter. You can Ice Beam me all you want. This is it. Oh, that was the legend battle. Not bad, man. Old trusty Bastion coming in clutch. I'll do a few more battles. This is a quick stream. The last time I was this close to Legend, I was 15 points away and went 0-5 and then 1-4. This is like over a week ago. Boom. Oh, do we love to see that? Yeah, this line's killing it for me. I climbed like 150 points yesterday with it. And I was able to climb quite a bit. Nice. I hope you enjoyed the video, and best of luck if you decide to use this team for yourself. I've had a lot of fun with it, and a lot of my patrons have had quite a bit of success with it too. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like and share, subscribe for future content, hit that notification bell to get alerted right when I post a new video, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.